About 20 years ago, I gave up the chance to be a superhero. Here's what I mean by that. After college, I spent 10 weeks on a NOLS course in the Pacific Northwest. NOLS is the National Outdoor Leadership School. It was a semester's worth of wilderness leadership training with backpacking, rock climbing, canoeing, and more. So much learning, so much awe, so much rain. From the moment I arrived at the branch, fellow students were talking about whether or not they would apply someday for a coveted spot on an IC, an instructor's course. You see, you can't help but admire NOLS instructors. They are rock stars, superheroes. They are strong, capable, courageous, resourceful. They can build a field hospital with what they carry in their packs. They could hike from here to Mount Everest, climb it, and be back to break the fast. They have that look that people do when they take on mountains for a living. Perfectly tan, absurdly fit, calm, cool. They can handle anything. I was in rabbinical school when I took my second NOLS course for outdoor educators in Alaska. A few months later, I got this call from NOLS. We want to know if you would think about applying for an IC. Oh, I said, thanks for calling, but I don't think I'd be accepted. And I listed all the things I had not been doing to prepare. I think maybe you would, the voice on the other end of the line said, but I didn't really believe her. And besides, I was busy. I had plans for the summer, Rabbi things to do. I just couldn't veer from that path, take the chance. I don't think it would have changed the direction of my life, but dang, I could have been a rabbi and a superhero rock star. Missed opportunity. It takes the Torah only 6 chapters and 6 verses to get to the topic of regret. It is one of the first emotions explicitly ascribed to God. Just before the flood with Noah's Ark, we read, "Vayinachem Adonai ki asa et ha'adam be'aretz vayit'atzev al libo." And God regretted creating humanity on earth. It sorrowed God's heart. That's what regrets do. They fill us with sorrow. Author and columnist Daniel Pink identifies 4 different types of regrets. The first was my problem with that NOLS course. He calls that a boldness regret. A time when we look back and wish we had been more courageous, more willing to take a risk. We recognize it by this language. I was too afraid to do this. I really wanted to do that, but I decided to play it safe. I wish I had been braver, bolder. This is a very common regret. In fact, people who don't take a chance hold much more regret than people who do, even if that chance does not work out. It's not all measured by outcome. There's joy in simply going after what we want. The next type of regret is what Pink calls foundational. These are the ways in which we did not lay groundwork for a stronger future. I wish I had taken school more seriously. I wish I would have saved money throughout my career, and so on. We regret not doing what would have prepared us in advance. Then there are moral regrets. I hurt someone. I did something wrong. I violated my own priorities and values. I chose something else, instant gratification, relief from my pain, whatever it was. I chose it over my morality. And finally, connective regrets. Relationships we don't have but we want to have, or relationships we want to strengthen but don't. These regrets sound like this. I didn't reach out. I thought it was too late. I thought it would be awkward or painful, or that the other person wouldn't care either way. For the most part, Pink has found in his research, those things are untrue. It's not awkward. The other person does care. Pink teaches that if there is one thing to take from the thousands and thousands of people he has spoken to about regret, it is this: always reach out. Always reach out. Author Sarah Addison Allen writes, People always say life is too short for regrets, but the truth is, it's too long. Emily Dickinson calls remorse the disease not even God can heal. She imagines actions of the past, or inactions, lingering, ghost-like, at every window and every door. Must that be so? Must we be haunted by regrets for the rest of our lives? Psychologists have found that it is easier for us to envision, that the easier it is for us to envision a different outcome, the more likely we are to regret the past. The contrast between what happened and what could have happened can be unbearable. Harvard University's health newsletter tells the story of a British man who regularly played the same set of lottery numbers. One week, he failed to get his ticket, and guess what? His numbers came up, the winning numbers. That man was haunted by regret until he took his very last breath. It was so painful to him to come that close and to miss. What happened? Who knows? He forgot to stop at the store that day. He slept in a few extra minutes. He didn't take his usual route to work. One misstep led to a lifetime of regret. We can die of regret, or we can use it to live. The Talmud tells the following story. Rabbi and Rabbi Zera made a Purim feast together, and they got very drunk. Rabbi arose and slew Rabbi Zera. The next day, Rabbi prayed for mercy, and Rabbi Zera was given life. The next year, Rabbi Zera said to Rabbi, "Master, let us make a Purim feast together." Rabbi said, "A miracle does not occur each and every hour." Let's unpack that story. It starts like this. Two rabbis walk into a bar. They drink too much. Maybe they're young and stupid, or impulsive, or trying to prove something. Maybe there's money or a reputation on the line. Who knows? But something goes terribly wrong, and Rabbi kills Rabbi Zera. When Rabbi wakes up to realize what has happened, he is hit by an unbearable wave of regret. He prays with every fiber of his being for mercy. Mercy for his friend and mercy for himself. Because looking ahead, he knows that he will be tormented by regret for the rest of his life. Predicting that misery, he asks for mercy. You know that feeling, right? Wanting the miracle, the time machine, to press rewind for a few days or even just a few minutes. When words come out of your mouth and you just want to stuff them back in. When you lay down at night, recalling your day and cringe, thinking, did I really do that? When you see the look on someone's face and you know that right then, right there, a breach in the relationship has formed and it's going to take a ton of work and a ton of time to repair it. The Talmud has a wild imagination, so Rabbi gets his miracle. With apologies to all those in this room who work there, do you think Disney invented that stuff? The sparkling stars that circle around after a character has died, Anna, the Beast, Eugene, Sleeping Beauty, it happens to them all. The music that tells us magic is happening. The reprieve is being granted. The Talmud took out that trick first. Rabbi Zera dies. Rabbi has killed him. And then he comes back to life. But then the story changes from a fantasy into something that is or can be remarkably real. It's about a year later. Rabbi Zera asks, "Hey dude, you want to have another Purim party?" Has he forgotten what happened? Rabbi, who endured just one day of excruciating regret, will not forget. A miracle doesn't happen every day. That's Talmud speak for, no thanks, I'm not doing that again. We can presume there was every reason to justify another Purim party. The story comes right after the commandment to drink on Purim. And in the end, the incident worked out fine. Rabbi could have called himself lucky and moved on. But his regret worked. It did what it's supposed to do: inform us for the sake of the future. What if every regret we've ever had is not about the past at all? It's about what comes next. What if we do have a time machine? We just keep pointing it in the wrong direction. It's about the future. Mindfulness meditation teacher Jack Kornfield shares this bit of wisdom, though it was another great sage, Lily Tomlin, who said it first. Forgiveness means giving up all hope of a better past. In order to get past regret, we have to be willing to forgive ourselves, not necessarily even because we deserve it, but because there is zero chance of a better past. Some moments in history are, in fact, uncorrectable. The guy with the lottery numbers, he's not getting that morning back to redo. Sometimes we have no choice but to grieve deeply. There's no way through it but through it. And then we can work toward forgiveness. One of the things I love so much about this season is how it normalizes our mistakes. We're all working on the same thing, making ourselves better, every one of us. Okay, we didn't take the dream job. We didn't speak up. We didn't pick up the phone to check on someone. We didn't realize how much damage we were doing. We didn't because we were too overwhelmed or too consumed in our own lives or too tired. Okay, we didn't. Or maybe we did. We had to choose between two lousy outcomes, so we picked one. We went for the momentary thrill. We told ourselves what we wanted to hear. We chose the path of least resistance. Okay, we did. When I was processing one of these failures once, an advisor back in Phoenix said to me, "Oh, turns out you're not the Mashiach either." And back on that first Knowles course, I learned an expression I'll never forget from Rick, my instructor, one of those superheroes. He said, "Good judgment comes from experience. Experience comes from bad judgment." It's a variation of what my friend Debbie Blinn tells her students. You learn much more from a wrong answer on a test than from a lucky guess. We're here to learn, right? We're in this lifetime to learn. One more point about changing the past. We can't make the past version of ourselves know everything that the present version of ourselves knows. In addition to missing out on that Knowles course, like everyone, I have more serious regrets, deeper regrets. I can think of a few times in my life, for example, when someone I really cared about could have used support. And for all kinds of reasons, I couldn't give it, or I didn't. I was closed off, ungenerous, small-minded. I didn't have it in me to be bigger. 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I wasn't the person that I am now, which is actually great news. It doesn't mitigate the damage. We all have to deal with that. But it makes me wonder who I can be 5 years from now, 10 years from now. The only way to get there is by getting some of it wrong in order to get it right. Remember Genesis 6:6, God wishing God had never created humanity? The word for regret is vayinachem. That word also means comfort. You can't say regret in Hebrew without immediately going to comfort. It's true that the flood, there it is, that the flood God creates reflects God's initial impulse to rewrite the past, to destroy the whole project of creating the world as if it had never happened. However, even God eventually learns to settle into reality, move forward, not backward, and find comfort there. That's the meaning of the rainbow after Noah's Ark. It symbolizes the promise to never destroy humanity again. It's almost like God regrets acting so rashly on a regret. The point of the entire story is that we all have to learn to live in the experiment, in this great laboratory of screwing up and trying again. My friend Sandra Nassen says that Judaism is the religion of second chances. I think that's true. Can we transform our mistakes so they bring goodness to us and those around us? Can our boldness regrets, our foundational, moral, and connective blunders, can they point us to a better future? Can we remember what it felt like to not reach out, to play it safe? Can those memories tell us what to do next time? All of those ghosts hanging around our windows and our doors, can we ask them what we need to know and then bless them as they go on their way? Can we decide that we will use every single regret to grow and only to grow? Doing so might just make us superheroes, rock stars, after all. Shana Tova.